Acadiana. Welcome to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate, our source of local news, local journalism. We're so glad everybody is able to join us. We're glad everybody, hopefully in the Lafayette area, made it through without much flooding or damage from Hurricane Laura. That was quite a big storm, but it seems like our local area, at least in the Lafayette region, if not all of Louisiana, made it out fairly unscathed. And good job at getting ready for that, everybody, and being prepared. We bring you this public service of reading the Advocate's news stories every Monday through Friday normally. Storms not interrupting. Between 9 and 10 a.m., and we normally do it with volunteer assistance. If you'd like to be a volunteer newsreader, we are offering the ability to read from home. All you have to do is join an online meeting that we provide. No account required or anything. And you can join us as a from-home news reader so that you can read the news right from the comfort of your own home, maybe your kitchen where you've picked up a cup of coffee, which I'm realizing I forgot to do. Oh well. We are going to get into the news. So, coming up this morning in our news stories, we have our, let's see. All right, in the wake of Blake shooting, Joe Burrow urges followers to support Black community. This is by Anna Jones. And this is kind of a sports story right on the top of the hour. All right. The latest athlete to speak out in support of the Black community, former LSU quarterback and current Cincinnati Bengal, Joe Burrow. How can you hear the pain Black people are going through and dismiss it as nothing? Burrow wrote on Twitter Thursday morning. How can you hear the pain and respond with anything other than, I stand with you? Burrow's comments come as athletes around the country have protested the shooting of 29-year-old Jacob Black, a black man by police in Kenosha, Wisconsin, earlier this week. Blake was shot 7 times in the back after being tasered while his 3 children sat in the backseat of his car. He's now paralyzed. Police were attempting to arrest Blake in connection with a domestic violence dispute. A knife was found in Blake's vehicle, but the officers did not report how or if the knife was involved in the incident. Burrow's comment is just the latest example of the Heisman winner and number 1 NFL draft pick using his platform to advocate for social justice. In May, he weighed in on the death of George Floyd, saying, "The Black community needs our help. They have been unheard for far too long," Burrow wrote on Twitter. "Open your ears, listen, and speak. This isn't politics, this is human rights." Burrow has also touched on topics including advocating for college student athletes. In his speech for winning the Heisman, sorry, I lost my place there, guys. Okay, in his speech winning the Heisman Trophy, he also brought attention to poverty and hunger in his hometown of Athens, Ohio. "There are so many people there who don't have a lot," Burrow said. "I'm up here for all those kids in Athens and in Athens County who go home with not a lot of food on the table, hungry after school. You guys can be up here too." His words resulted in thousands of dollars of donations flowing into both Ohio and Baton Rouge food banks. All right, and that story again was by Anna Jones, a staff writer for The Advocate. Our next story. For many in Acadiana, Laura brought damages, but not the likes of Hurricane Rita in 2005, by Ben Myers and staff writer Claire Taylor, as well as staff writer Ben Stickney. Hurricane Laura's wind and rain created havoc across Acadiana and southwestern Louisiana early Thursday, shutting down power to tens of thousands of homes and leaving debris strewn in her path. Rainfall was measured in some areas at 5 to 6 inches. Road travel was impaired across the region. Roads made impassable by debris and water. Interstate 10 was closed most of the morning from the Atchafalaya Basin to the Texas border. Hundreds of thousands across the state were without power much of the day. By about 5 p.m. Thursday, there were still 7,500 Slimco customers, 4,800 Entergy customers, and 8,000 LUS customers without power in Lafayette Parish. An additional 60 to 70 workers were arriving Thursday afternoon to assist LUS employees and the extra 80 people who were deployed to help ahead of the storm, according to LSU spokesperson Alex Antonowicz. But it could have been so much worse. Laura, like many storms before it, flooded the Delcambre Canal early Thursday morning, with water more than a foot deep along Church Street and other areas near the channel. But these floodwaters had a characteristic that brought relief to Chris Esponge, a retired National Guard sergeant and lifelong Delcambre resident. This water was clear, unlike the worst storms of the past, namely Hurricane Rita of 2005. That meant the storm had splashed water off the top of the canal and moved on without dumping mud, sugarcane, and dead crabs everywhere, said Esponge, who is known for assisting the town's crisis response after storms. It's one of those things we're glad we see it. I'm walking on the road and I can see the yellow stripe, said Esponge. For Rita, we had mud and marsh grass stuck in people's houses that was almost a foot deep that you had to shovel out. With a track and storm surge forecast comparable to Hurricane Rita, residents in Vermilion Parish and other areas of Acadiana feared that Hurricane Laura would bring another historic catastrophe early Thursday morning. Many expected this hurricane might cause even more damage because it landed overnight as a strong Category 4, packing winds of 150 miles per hour. Hurricane Rita, for all its devastation, weakened to a Category 3 before making landfall. Hurricane Laura came and went without the devastation similar to 15 years ago. One Iota man died as a result of the storm, but other damage was limited to downed trees, power lines, and some flooding. In Vermilion Parish, no rescues were necessary, according to the sheriff's office, and the storm surge was far below the 10 to 12 feet during Hurricane Rita. Still, Abbeville was completely blacked out with no indication of when electricity would return. About 600,000 Louisiana customers were without power as of 3:15 p.m., according to PowerOutage.us. Entergy, which serves Abbeville's substation, said 360,000 of its customers lacked power in a 4-state service area of Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, and Mississippi. The phone is ringing off the wall. People wanting to know what's going on with the power, said Abbeville Mayor Mark Piazza. In one of the more severe scenes of wreckage in Abbeville, an uprooted tree on Northeast Street had fallen into power lines, apparently causing 3 wooden poles snap and fall into the street with it. Yet just down the block, at the corner with East St. Victor Street, Kenneth January said his multi-story home did not have any damage. January said he only suffered the minor inconvenience of strewn branches, which he picked up while speaking to a reporter. Whatever it was, it went over us and hit them down the road, January said, referring to the downed tree. In Delcambre, power was not an issue for 3 generations of the Longlanay family, who huddled up in the family home on along Church Street, a few blocks from the Delcambre Canal. The power kind of dimmed twice. We have a generator, but we didn't have to use it. Diane Longlanay yelled down from the raised deck, standing next to her husband, Randolph Longlanay. Across the street, water had crept up past the foundation of another house they own where their daughter lives, but they said they were not concerned about water damage since Hurricane Rita, as well as Hurricane Ike in 2008, had been far higher. Sheriff Mike Coubillon lifted a curfew he had imposed the night before, and he said in a statement that he is a very blessed sheriff today, but he added that we are not out of the woods yet since water in flooded areas had not receded by mid-afternoon. City Park in Erath was almost completely underwater around 9:30 a.m. when workers with the city's streets department arrived to block and barricade the entrance, I assume. One of the employees Candy Louviere said they had done the same thing at other public facilities, but that City Park was the last stop. We made it, Louviere said. All good. In addition to the widespread property damage, there was one known fatality related to the storm in Acadiana. Acadia Parish Jimmy Cart, 68, was killed when a roughly 50 to 60 foot pine tree fell on the bedroom he was occupying. The man was dead when firefighters and other emergency responders arrived on the scene in the 3500 block of Eunice, Iota Highway. Iota Volunteer Fire Department Chief David Duguay said. The other people in the home were not injured, Duguay said. The tree was the only one that fell on the property, he said. There was no evidence of a tornado in the area, and responders believe a strong wind gust felled the tree. It looked like a war zone. Further south, the two-lane highways that wind south through Pecan Island and Creole were impassable Thursday morning due to snapped trees and wooden power poles, littering roadways with limbs and electrical lines and blocking access to Laura's Ground Zero, the tiny fishing community of Cameron. Vehicles couldn't access Pecan Island, and water and debris still covered parts of Louisiana 14 West. But the island was spared the massive storm surge that damaged and destroyed some structures during Hurricane Rita in 2005 and again during Hurricane Ike in 2008. To the west, LA 27 provides another route to Cameron, but it is also inaccessible. Thursday, south of the intersection with LA 384, a Cameron Parish Sheriff's deputy said utility poles and trees made the roadway to Creole and Cameron impossible to travel. It could be days before it's cleared, he said. Nearby, in the Cameron Parish community of Sweet Lake, Philip Whittington and his family sifted through the remains of the mobile home that's been in their home for 11 years. Whittington used to live in Cameron. Devastating, Whittington said. Looking around at the debris scattered across the lawn, it looks like a war zone. The chimney blew off the home, the carpet is ruined from the rain, and the new shed exploded, Whittington said. And the home wasn't insured. He'll try to make the repairs himself, he said, because the family wants to move back in as soon as possible. Rita hit us, we went back, he said. Ike hit us, we moved up here. His wife, April Whittington, recovered a nativity scene from the debris that was once in their storage shed. A New Orleans Saints Christmas stocking hung out to dry Thursday afternoon as another Christmas and Mardi Gras decorations peeped out from the pile. Double-wide mobile homes nearby were turned into single-wides as Laura left them in piles of rubble. Some areas of southwest Louisiana appeared untouched by Laura's vicious winds and tornadoes. In other areas, metal roofs were ripped off, revealing wooden beams beneath. Dark shingles were peeled off other roofs, leaving the lighter wood beneath like a patchwork quilt. Sheets of metal from barns and sheds were wrapped around trees or dropped into fields where grazing cattle didn't seem to notice the difference. And staff writer Katie Gagliano also contributed to this report. In our next story, another one about Laura and the aftermath, of course. Pardon me. No catastrophic storm surge from Laura, but Cameron Parish looks like a war zone. This is by staff writer Claire Taylor. The two-lane highways that wind south through the tiny communities of Pecan Island and Creole were impassable Thursday morning, hours after Hurricane Laura's winds snapped trees and wooden power poles, littering roadways with limbs and electrical lines blocking access to Laura's Ground Zero, the tiny fishing community of Cameron. Thursday morning, vehicles couldn't access Pecan Island in Vermilion Parish, where many Acadiana residents maintained camps and second homes. Water and debris still covered parts of Louisiana 14 West, but the island was spared the massive storm surge that damaged and destroyed some structures during Hurricane Rita in 2005 and again in Ike in 2008. To the west, Louisiana 27 provides another route to Cameron, but it also was inaccessible Thursday south of the intersection with Highway 384. A Cameron Parish Sheriff's deputy said utility poles and trees made the roadway to Creole and Cameron impossible to travel. It could be days before it's cleared, he said. Nearby, in the Cameron Parish community of Sweet Lake, Philip Whittington and his family sifted through the remains of the mobile home that's been on their home for 11 years. Whittington used to live in Cameron. Rita hit us, we went back, he said. Ike hit us, we moved up here. Devastating, Whittington said, looking around at the debris scattered across his lawn. Looks like a war zone. And looks like, y'all, this story was wrapped into that other story, so let's see. All right, so let's hear a little bit about Acadiana Newsmakers. Edward Bush named chapter director for American Red Cross of Louisiana. The American Red Cross of Louisiana has named Edward Bush as executive director for the Capital West chapter, which serves the capital area to Acadiana and across southwest Louisiana. Stephanie Wagner, regional director of communications and marketing, had served as interim executive director since February. Bush was director of public affairs and the State Public Affairs Officer for Louisiana National Guard, and retired from the Guard recently as a colonel after a 30-year military career. In addition to deploying overseas several times, he served as a key staff member on over 15 major emergency response missions in Louisiana. Richard Wolf, a member of Evangeline Toastmasters of Lafayette, was named District 68 Toastmaster of the Year for 2019 and 2020. The Lafayette resident is a financial planning and insurance consultant and joined Toastmasters in 2010. The award recognizes leadership and devoted service. Toastmasters District 68 encompasses Louisiana, Beaumont, Texas, and Southwest Mississippi. The district has over 900 members in 59 clubs. Pardon me. Janine Thibodeau has earned her professional land surveyor designation, becoming Finstamaker's first woman with the designation and seventh woman living in Louisiana with it. Land designation is based on passing the PS Principles and Practice of Surveying exam. Thibodeau joined Finstamaker in March 2019 as a survey technician. A graduate of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, she began working as an AutoCAD technician and assistant survey technician at what was then CNC Technologies. She was promoted to senior survey technician, working with PLS project managers on boundary, route, and topographical surveys in Louisiana and Texas, and became an assistant project manager and GIS mapping analyst after having completed additional surveying courses to obtain her land surveying intern certificate, and then licensure, and after a mandatory 18 months of field experience. The E.W. Scripps Company has appointed Sean Trekalik as Vice President and General Manager of KATC, its ABC affiliate in Lafayette. He was General Manager for KADN, KLAF, and My Network Acadiana. Trekalik has over 30 years of experience in broadcast and sales, and this move brings his career full circle, as Trekalik started at KATC in 1989. Sean began his broadcast career as a radio announcer before moving into sales at KATC, where he served as a national and regional account manager. He also held several sales management roles with Warner Brothers, Firefly Digital Inc., Delta Media, and Via Media. Trekalik holds a bachelor's degree in public relations with an English minor from the University of Southwestern Louisiana in Lafayette. And those are some of our Acadiana newsmakers. And full disclosure, Sean is on our board of directors, and he's a great board member, helping us to serve our mission in our community. So that's great. I hope his new job doesn't take him away from our board, because he's a really good board member. All right. Let's see what else we have in the news this morning. All right, so some schools, as I'm sure parents are already aware, are remaining closed today. Schools across the Acadiana region, I apologize. Let's see. This is by Katie Gagliano, staff writer at The Advocate. Schools across the Acadiana region are canceling School Friday to allow families time to assess property damage, clean up and recover after Hurricane Laura made landfall overnight Thursday as a Category 4 storm. Widespread power outages affected Slimgo, Energy, and LUS customers across the region, and homes and businesses were still being reconnected well into Thursday. Some 74,152 of 109,000 Slimco customers were without power Thursday morning, spokesperson Mary Lawrence said. Slimco services Acadia, Avoyelles, Evangeline, Iberia, Lafayette, St. Landry, St. Martin, and Vermilion parishes. Around 15,000 LUS customers lost power in Lafayette Parish, and at least 24,400 Entergy customers were without power in Acadiana as of 2 p.m. Thursday, according to the utility's outage map. And this is the list of the schools that are closed on Friday. In Lafayette Parish, the Diocese of Lafayette, Ascension Episcopal School, John Paul the Great Academy, Westminster Christian Academy, and Willow Charter Academy. In Acadia Parish, Diocese of Lafayette, Acadiana Parish Public Schools. Evangeline Parish, Diocese of Lafayette. Iberia Parish, Diocese of Lafayette. Acadiana Christian School in Iberia Parish. St. Landry Parish, the Diocese of Lafayette, will cancel classes on Friday. And St. Mary, also in St. Martin Parish, same thing for the diocese. St. Martin Public Schools will also, they will operate with normal hours on Friday. The Diocese of Lafayette, classes canceled Friday. And South Louisiana Community College, all campuses closed and classes canceled on Friday. And this list will be updated as more information becomes available, so you can check that out at the Advocate website. All right. So, on the area arts and cultural scene is our next story by Robin Miller, a staff writer. The deadline is 6 p.m. August 31st for bidding, and the Baton Rouge Symphony Orchestras conduct the BRSO silent auction. The highest bidder will get to conduct the symphony for one selection in its March 18th Hollywood Hits concert. The winning bidder also will receive a Mallard baton, a private conducting lesson from the associate conductor David Torrens, and 4 tickets to the concert. To place your bid, visit brso.org. The Hilliard Museum, 710 East St. Mary Boulevard, is showing Philip Gould's Bridging the Mississippi Spans Across the Father of Waters, featuring bridges across the Mississippi River. For more information, call 337-482-0811 or visit hilliardmuseum.org. And that's it on the arts and culture for today. All right, y'all, just sifting through the stories to see what's new here. All right, so Louisiana's first batch of extra $300 unemployment payments have gone out. Here's what you need to know, by Tyler Bridges, a staff writer for The Advocate. Pardon me. Nearly 3,000 jobless workers in Louisiana received an extra $300 payment in their weekly unemployment payment on Wednesday, the Louisiana Workforce Commission said Thursday. Another 50,000 workers are scheduled to collect the $300 payment on Thursday, the agency added. In all, the Workforce Commission paid out $240 million on Wednesday and was expecting to pay another $44 million on Thursday to assist workers who have lost jobs because of the coronavirus. The commission advised unemployed workers that it may take 24 to 48 hours for the money to show up in their bank accounts. The payments will be retroactive to August 1st for unemployed workers who were eligible for payments at that date. The checks are a result of President Trump's decision to take up to $44 billion from FEMA's Disaster Relief Fund to provide enhanced federal unemployment benefits for 5 or 6 weeks, with Democrats and Republicans stymied in Washington over how to replace the $600 weekly federal payments that expired on July 31st. The $300 payments come in addition to the maximum $247 per week Louisiana jobless workers have been receiving under state law. So workers can collect as much as $547 a week with the new benefits. Governor John Bel Edwards signed up to Louisiana to be eligible for the extra federal payments. Governors who have not done so cited confusing directives from the Trump administration. All right. So Louisiana Coronavirus still with us. State reports 723 new cases, 23 additional deaths. The Louisiana Department of Health reported 723 more coronavirus cases, 23 more deaths, and 38 fewer hospitalizations in its daily noon update on Thursday. Here are a few key statewide statistics as of Thursday. Total cases in Louisiana, 145,637. Total deaths, 4,711. Currently hospitalized are 876 of our fellow citizens. Currently on ventilators, 145 people. Presumed recovered, 127,918, and that is updated weekly. These parishes saw the biggest new numbers of cases. East Feliciana, 168. East Baton Rouge, 70. Caddo, 53. Jefferson, 42. Wichita, 31. St. Tammany, 25. Lafayette, 22. Rapides, 20. And Lafourche, 20. Governor John Bel Edwards said Wednesday that he will extend Phase 2 coronavirus restrictions for 2 more weeks. And you can, of course, always get the coronavirus, the latest COVID-19 information from the Advocate. They provide that for absolutely no charge to anyone. They provide most of the news for no charge, but you can become a subscriber in order to support journalism in Louisiana, which we need to support our local journalists, y'all. They're hurting right now. Pardon me. I got a frog in my throat this morning. Just looking through the stories, picking out the next one, y'all. All right, let's take a little break from the dire news, and let's just talk about maybe cooking. Cook this. These morning buns are worth the time and effort. This is by Karen Martin, a staff writer for The Advocate. We could all do with a little comfort food right now, and this one comes in rich layers of croissant combined with sweet swirls of cinnamon bun. So there you have it, a most excellent pastry, morning buns. This recipe takes some time, so save it for the weekend. You have to freeze the dough and let it rise for an hour to 90 minutes. But trust us, it will be worth the effort. The buns are delicious with orange zest and juice, lending them a sweet, citrusy brightness. You can, of course, find this recipe on theadvocate.com, but let me just read it out to you. Hopefully you have your pen or your pencil ready. Morning buns makes 12 servings. The dough will take 3 cups, 15 ounces of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon granulated sugar, and that is 3 cups, or parentheses 15 ounces, not 3 cups and 15 ounces. 1 tablespoon granulated sugar, 2 1/4 teaspoons instant or rapid rise yeast, 3/4 a teaspoon of salt, 24 tablespoons, 3 sticks of unsalted butter, cut into 1/4-inch slices and chilled, 1 cup sour cream chilled, 1/4 a cup orange juice chilled, 3 tablespoons ice water, 1 large egg yolk. The filling is made of 1/2 a cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 a cup of packaged light brown sugar, 1 tablespoon grated orange zest, 2 teaspoons ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. For the dough, combine flour, sugar, yeast, and salt in 1 gallon zipper lock bag. Add butter to bag, seal, and shake to coat. Press air out of bag and reseal. Roll over bag several times with a rolling pin, shaking the bag after each roll until butter is pressed into large flakes. Transfer mixture into large bowl and stir in sour cream, orange juice, ice water, and egg yolk. With a wooden spoon, mix until combined. Transfer dough to lightly floured counter and knead by hand to form smooth, round ball about 30 seconds. Press and roll dough into 20 by 12 inch rectangle with short side parallel to the counter edge. Roll dough away from you into a firm cylinder, keeping a roll taut by tucking it under itself as you go. With seam side down, flatten cylinder into 12 by 4 inch rectangle. Transfer to parchment paper, lined rimmed baking sheet, cover loosely with greased plastic wrap, and freeze for 15 minutes. For the filling, line half a cup of muffin tin with paper or foil liners and spray with vegetable oil spray. Combine all ingredients in a bowl, transfer dough to lightly floured counter, and roll into 20 by 12 inch rectangle. With long side paralleled to counter edge, sprinkle with sugar mixture, leaving half an inch border around the edges and press lightly to adhere. Roll the dough away from you into firm cylinder, keeping roll taut by tucking it under itself as you go. Pinch seam closed, then reshape cylinder as needed to be 20 inches in length with uniform thickness. Using a serrated knife, trim half an inch of dough from each end and discard. Cut cylinder into 12 pieces and place cut side up in muffin cups. Cover loosely with greased plastic and let rise until doubled in size, 1 to 1.5 hours. Adjust oven rack to the middle position and heat oven to 425 Fahrenheit. Bake until buns begin to rise, about 5 minutes. Then reduce oven temperature to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Continue to bake until buns are deep golden brown, 40 to 50 minutes, rotating muffin tin halfway through baking. Let the buns cool in a muffin tin for 5 minutes, then transfer to a wire rack and discard liners. Serve warm. That does sound like a little bit of work, but it sounds like it might be worth it too, because those sound pretty delicious, don't you guys think? All right, let's find out who's building where in Acadiana. Here's the building permits for August 17th through the 24th. So, new commercial, other 3605 Johnson Street, Lafayette, Cajun Clean Car Wash. The owner, the Barras Architects applicant, Annie Maria LLC contractor. Is this just a list of buildings? That is. That's not a real story. All right, you guys can check that out on the Advocate if it's your thing. Let's see what else is new in the news. Let's check, see what sports has got going on here. All right, UL veteran cornerback Eric Garrower likes what he's seeing from young defensive colleagues, by Kevin Foote, staff writer. It doesn't seem so long ago that Eric Garrower was a relatively unsung prospect making his way to Lafayette to begin his college career technically as a blue shirt. It was Coach Billy Napier's first season as UL's new head coach. Not very far into that first training camp, however, word began to rise about this 5'9" cornerback from McGill Tulane High School in Mobile, Alabama. Before long, he learned a role as the defense's third cornerback in making his first college start at Mississippi State and collected 2 interceptions. Fast forward to 2020, and incredibly, Garrower is already the veteran cornerback for Cajun's defense. He's the seasoned guy now. The newcomers follow and listen to when doubts arise. It feels great, Garrower said. It feels good to have some young guys under me. They'll learn from me, but I'm learning from them as well. So ask the 3-year starter about the inexperienced but talented guys joining him, the cornerback room these days. Pardon me, and he's quick to respond. how about redshirt sophomore Jaron Wilson? Jaron is a very athletic guy, Garer said. He has tremendous speed. He has quick feet. He's just a guy that reminds me of myself. Me and him play similar to each other. He's just a little faster. Then there's expected junior starter opposite him in A.J. Washington. He's like a freak, Garer said. He's fast and has tremendous speed. He can jump. He just looks athletic. Seeing him go from when he first came in to now, he's a whole different person. And yeah, Garer said, he's impressed with freshman cornerback and courtline followers, freshman defensive lineman Mason Narcisse, and the freshman cornerback Caleb Anderson. He's good, Garer said of Anderson. He's long like Mike. Garer has experienced the help from upperclassmen in the past, like outgoing senior Michael Jacquet. Mike taught me a lot, Garer said. He taught me stuff about the receivers, like what they're going to do. I really learned some football from him. He learned some from me about the corner because I've played corner since high school and he just came over there. He taught me a lot, I taught him a lot, and we're just like brothers. Some things remain the same this fall compared to his first 2 seasons with the Cajuns, but one thing is different with a new defensive coordinator in Patrick Toney. It seems like it's a different practice, Garer said. Coach Toney is very competitive. That's just like me. I'm very competitive. I don't like to lose. It's like he's competing with Coach Napier, and I like that. We just play well for him. As good as the defense played last season, Garer is convinced it can be even better this fall. We can be better by being on one accord and by communicating with one another and to be there for each other, said Garer, who had 35 tackles and a team-high 8 pass breakups in 14 games last season. He's also He's also been recognized in 2 spots on the Sun Belt's preseason team, both as a second-team cornerback and a second-team punt returner. That's great too, Garer said of special teams. I'm just really playing football and helping my team out. I can do anything to help my team and play any position they want me to play. Still, Garer had his sights set on improving his play this fall. I still have to get better in my techniques, he said. You always have to do that. Watching more film, getting film study to recognize the game more quicker and faster, so I can make plays faster. And if so, Garer's first 2 seasons at UL have taught him the Cajuns have a real chance to knock off number 23 ranked Iowa State on September 12. I feel like we're good, he said. If we're disciplined, we can go out and beat anybody. Just to be there for one another. Trust the coaches and their game plan. All right, y'all. It looks like we've gotten. There's obviously a few more stories out there this morning, but we are coming to a time when we are going to wrap this news feed for this Friday. I hope you all have a good weekend. Hopefully the cleanup is not too intense for Rita. And I am going to play some music again. Want to thank this artist. I'll probably refresh the music starting next week. But this song is Traveling Lights by Dysfunction Al. Copyright 2020, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. And thank them
Wrap
for
your
making
fingers
music.
Around the great escape, drinking moonshine on the moon.
Well, maybe we won't go out with
It's got you
but I will say
feeling
goodbye,
like
and
a
thanks for
queen,
watching.
but you're not quite looking down on those traveling lights. I had best be on my way. Best be on my way. Floating down that moving sidewalk, I go clear-eyed and calm. Don't want the fruit from that's still alive. Held me far too long. without you, no longer trouble. I'm looking down on those traveling lights, and I'm on my way. And I'm on my way. This torch is heavy, and I travel light. Myself.